You were listening to episode 269 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John, and I'm joined by Brian.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and the name's Bond. Optimus Bond, in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we are playing SpyHunter on the PlayStation 2. And Ryan, I do see it on that list right there, so I'm excited about that. So we'll dive into our Inflation Deflation Challenge. But first, you can find us on thegamedeflators.com, our currently up-to-date website, I think. I don't know. I don't remember if I put the last episode up to date. I'm pretty sure I did. You can find us on YouTube. All prior episodes are on there. Some unboxings if we have them. We got to do that D&D unboxing maybe this coming Sunday. Yeah, let's do it this Sunday. We'll crack open that the deck of many things. I'm excited to see what that's like.
Yeah.
You can of course find us on social media at Game Deflators on X, at The Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Are like 4 threads posted are on there. I do try to put Instagram photos when I can of games that we're playing, games that are coming up, or just games that I have in the collection. And lastly, you're listening to a podcast app on a podcast application. Leave us a 5-star review, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We would appreciate it. All right. Pickups. So magic cards. I mean, that's just kind of what it is, right? We busted open a box of the Phyrexia All Will Be One in a draft on Friday night.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I'm sorry that we didn't do a second draft. I was legit falling asleep because of how late it was.
I would not have been able to do a second draft.
I was so shocked. I was like, I'm down to play like a couple quick, like casual matches with everybody, but to redraft, I mean, drafting alone takes an hour to draft the cards and then to put your deck together. And then we're talking games that like we'd be up till like 2 a.m. playing Magic if we went with the other guys on that. So when Drew was like, oh yeah, I'm down to draft again. Well, no, I'll just go hang out with my girlfriend instead of playing casual. I'm like, dude, like it would have one casual match would have taken us an hour, or we could have drafted for an hour. Like
nobody wants to play your dirty casual.
Dude, my decks are a lot of fun. I have a lot of old legacy decks that are a blast to play, and in terms of like a 4-person setting would have been a blast. Yeah. So we have to do that sometime. But yeah, so we did that. Dude, I didn't realize one of those cards I pulled out of my packs was like a $40 rare.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, yeah, I got a sick amount of cards out of the like 5 boosters that I had. It was pretty nice. So I'm probably going to sell that and pick up cards that I actually need.
There you go. That's like a whole nother deck for the price of that land deck you got.
Yeah, that's actually, dude, that land deck's a lot of fun too. And then I played a little bit of Tales of Symphonia. Again, like falling asleep middle of the day type of thing. But we got to Palm Coast, as we had detailed a while back. What I had to do was make money to be able to pay off that potion for that group. And then it turns out that the group that was like, hey, you broke our potion of Palm Coast or whatever it is. Turns out that's the group that was imposters that took the book and everything else. Like that's what I caught like middle of sleeping in the middle of like the gameplay. But we did like some waitress memory type games, got money from serving people at tables, bought the potion. Or no, we got the potion for free actually, got money on top of that. And then met that group, gave them the potion. They went on their way, and then I saved the game, and that's where I am right now. But it's in terms of story, I'm liking it. It's good stuff. I have not started my new games resolution yet. I intend on doing that as the next game that I actually start up. That'll be my next game, so I can knock that out because it will take me a while, considering how long it's taken me to play a lot of these games, and given how long Tales of Symphonia is. It's going to take me a bit to beat Alundra, so I got to get that started earlier in the year. And then we didn't play any Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Just busy week. Kid was sick, so there was no real opportunity to do that. And then obviously me falling asleep is an indication that I was pretty wiped to begin with. I'm trying to think of anything else we might have played. Oh, my wife and I identified our next game. So Tiny Tina's Wonderland is current. We'll play that. It's about 15, 16 hours of gameplay. Usually when she and I play, we knock out a good like 45 minutes to an hour. So it'll be a few weeks, I imagine, once we knock out this game. And we're probably going to play Tunic next. That'll probably be the game that we play together. So I'm pretty excited about that. She saw it, really liked the visuals of it. Thought it looked cute, right? So like just right away, I was like, that's what we're playing. So that was my week in a nutshell.
So I'm going to transition from Tunic over into a little bit of playing this week coming up, sort of. AGDQ is starting up. Awesome Games Done Quick. It's a big charity stream that goes all week. It's all speed running. They raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Really great cause, really great event. Lots of awesome games to see. So they actually opened with Tunic, and they did it in like 19 and change.
Nice. That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, less than 20 minutes. It's pretty crazy. So cool stuff there this week. So thanks to John for my pickups this week. He gave me a copy of SpyHunter for PS2 because he had an extra laying around. So I have now a PS2 game. Well, I guess I have 5 PS2 games now.
You know what I might need to do, because I have other PS2 games actually that are just kind of laying around. I might just like on a weekly or bi-weekly basis when I see you be like, here, Ryan,
just feed me pickups.
Another video game. This is your pickup for the week.
I'll give you all my extra Magic cards and you'll give me all your extra video games. I like this trade.
Yeah, that's an even trade. You get one game that you hold on to, and I got to go through like 50 Magic cards and be like, all right, I got to sort these in 5 sets.
I found 2 more this morning when I was going through. I've got an extra duress for you.
Oh, God. You can toss that in trash, dude. I've got like, I'm not kidding you, like I've gone through 8 different sets that have like duress in them. So I'm pretty sure I've got like 4 play sets already.
Yeah, of my 1 play set I have 3 different arts.
Yeah, same here. I've got way too many. I've got like old school arts. I got new school. I've got like hollow foil arts, tons of stuff. By the way, I'll add to my pickups. I did get 2 more 5,000 count boxes to sort Magic cards.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get, because I have more boxes now, it's easier for me to do this. So I'm actually going to start taking like sets and organizing them by time that they were released. So as I'm going through organization, it's not like, oh, was Apocalypse in this box or was it in that box, and trying to look around. I'll kind of have the idea of like, oh, okay, it was released around Tempest.
I want to play Magic from the mid 2000s. This box.
Yeah, this box, right? So I have like right now 5 standard sets in one box, and I'm going to start transitioning them in like reverse order of when they came out in those boxes. So that's the goal right now, and then eventually making a cube for us to be able to draft, so we don't have to buy more packs down the road.
Yeah, if we do a cube, I want to see I want to see you get one of those. What was it?
Oh, the vintage one?
No, that box that I sent you. The thing you had seen.
Oh yeah, the
Cuban
Majigs. Yeah. Talarian Academy did a review on that. They gave it like an 8 out of 10, I think, and
it seemed cool.
No, it's pretty cool. It's straightforward. I mean, you can sleeve up your cards. You get 15 sleeve cards. You stick them in a box, and then that's your cube, right? The only thing is, like, when you draft with friends and you do a cube, it's a situation where you're going to be like, all right, guys, I need you to take 4 uncommons, put them in a pile. I need you to take 6 commons, put them in this pile, and, like, kind of make the packs again and mix it up. But, like, that's generally, it's a pain to, like...
with the same people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not too bad. Or it's like, okay, we passed out like 9 packs. I still got like 15 more packs to go. We'll just kind of use those next time and redo these. So yeah. But go on. Sorry.
So AGDQ, SpyHunter. Oh, I also borrowed Mobile Suit Gundam Zeonic Front, which was a game that I think I rented from Blockbuster or something when I was a kid. I don't know. I remember, because I always remember Journey to Jaburo. That's the one I really liked. That's the one that I bought and would like to get again at some point. But then I remember playing this one and not really getting it or something, or just not being as into it. I booted it up. It has a lot of like training missions to kind of get you understanding of the controls and kind of how the game works a bit. So kind of slow introduction. And then when you come to a mission, there's like a whole mission briefing where you get the layout of like what's going to happen, and then you can see a map with the routes planned, because basically you have like in the first mission you have 2 units, like a red unit and a blue unit, and they have these paths that you can set the route for. They'll follow the route automatically, and then you can switch in real time between like the leader of each unit to control their mobile suit. So you're kind of doing this mission trying to talk to, before you go in, you could talk to all these different people and get like some extra like little story bits and some advice on the mission. You can like go in and change your equipment and stuff. So it seems like it's going to get really in depth as it goes on. But starting out, I mean, it seemed pretty simple. Like the first mission took me like 5 or 6 minutes, and it seemed like I was like doing a lot more, just kind of getting used to looking around at everything and doing all the pre-mission stuff that I was really even doing the mission for. And a lot of it was just kind of like, all right, you're just kind of traveling from one place to the other. The combat is very kind of just like, I don't know, a couple of shots. It doesn't really feel like you're engaging very heavily. But I mean, I was just shooting like tanks and stuff, so it wasn't, it's first mission. I'm sure it'll get more complex and add more as it goes on, but so far, kind of we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, makes sense. It's funny you mentioned Blockbuster and like your first time renting that. I really wish I had a basement, because if I did, I'd probably theme it out to be like a Blockbuster and
I'd
have
see
my
that.
games, and I'd have my games set up not like on a wall like they are now. It'd probably be more of those like kind of rows, so that you kind of go in and it has more of that authentic like feel of pulling something off the shelf. I know like a lot of people are like, why would you ever do that? Like that's just a lot of work and a lot of space taken up.
Cool.
But if you're theming like a basement, right, it's going to be this whole game room type area, and you've got like pool table and big TV and all that stuff going on. It'd be pretty cool, I think, to have like a Blockbuster theme going on for it, and having like the shelving and such of that, like that, where it's, oh, okay, cool. Like that's the game I want to play. That's the one I want to pick out. Because right now it's like literally rows of games, and it feels good to just kind of walk and be like, oh, I want to play this today. I want to play that. And I would like that authentic Blockbuster feel. That'd be pretty cool. That said, I do think I'm going to try and make a more concerted effort this year, like a game like SpyHunter, right? I think that's an easy game to kind of pick up and play through. Like, I don't think it's a hard game, and it's sitting on a shelf. It's not doing anything. Like, why not play it?
Well, I mean, it's not that you're not playing games. Like, you're always playing games. You're just falling asleep while you're playing them.
Yeah. No, I know.
And you basically play like RPG after RPG, unless it's something you and Angela are playing together typically.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I might play some more of these types of games. So maybe like after Alundra and Tales of Symphonia, maybe I'm jumping into like a more of these short games. And I did that back in 2022. I did that. I closed out the year with like 6 or 7 games that were just like quick, heavy hitting, like
mad into your rush to checklists.
Yeah, like just 6 or 7 games I knocked off like really quick over the course of the end of the year. And I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun to just be like, and I was still falling asleep during games, but it was easier to be like, okay, cool. I'm playing like a 4 or 5 hour game. I'm going to knock it out really quick, move on to the next, move on to the next. Games that I could knock out in the span of like a week.
Yeah.
Right. Like that to me was actually kind of fun to do that. So I might do that again this year at some point, but I got to beat these games first. All right, so let's move on to our discussion topic. I figured we could talk the D&D session. It's been a while since we kind of broke that down. I know you missed a little bit of time at the end of the session because you had to leave early. So, I think it's been a while. So really where we kind of kicked off, or where we stopped last time, is the group was looking for mascots for one of the professors, and they had to go to what's called the Root Wilt Hall. And it's pretty much like a swampy type area or bog. With different observation huts and like the center area where students study. And it's more so like this group, or this part of a school, it's students that are more aligned with like being druids and mushrooms and that type of stuff. So you guys found all the mascots as you were going through. You did the whole thing with that. And everybody heard like this loud scream. And I think this is about the time that you left off. So there's a really loud scream that happens. And as you get there, there's one of the students that you all are familiar with, Max, who has been suspected multiple times of shenanigans on campus and trying to destroy the university. His arm is completely torn off. It's nowhere to be found. And you guys see a giant creature going off into the bushes and turning invisible. And this guy's just like bleeding out everywhere. So I had you all doing medicine checks and things along those lines. What's interesting is nobody thought to cauterize the wound. It was, let's go to magic right away. And I've kind of pinpointed multiple times to you all that these are like, they're mage hunters, right? They're like anti-magic in a sense. They want to destroy Strathaven with the Auric, like they're being released for that purpose. And so the first go-to was magic. And I was like, no, the magic doesn't work. And everyone was like, wait, why isn't the magic working? Like, what's happening? And I'm like, it just doesn't seem to want to close up with these magic spells. And so everybody's like, okay, let's tourniquet it, but nobody cauterized it on the spot, which I found interesting. So Max is taken to the infirmary, and you all come across that. And of course, Ginny's character Fez is like, no, I'm staying in here and watching you do the whole procedure. And they're like, no, like this is a medical facility, and we need to get things cleaned up and sanitized so we can perform the procedure. And like multiple students are like, it's okay. Like she's a doctor. We trust her on campus to do this.
What procedure were they going to do?
That she was going to like get it cleaned up and cauterized and everything else that needed to happen.
Do all that with magic?
No, she wasn't, because she was informed what creature did the damage. And she said, oh, magic is not going to fix this. We can't regenerate the arm. I need to perform a medical procedure right off the bat to get this cleaned up and closed. Okay. And so Ginny's insisting. She's like, no. And I'm like, no. She like escorts you out the room. She's like, I turn invisible to camouflage into a wall. I'm like, that doesn't work, because she's literally walking you all out the door and pushing you out. And you just can't go invisible in front of her and her not suspect that something has occurred. Like that just doesn't happen. So I'm like, she pushes you all out. She begrudgingly is like hanging out outside, talking to all the other characters. And then, of course, I had flashbacks, Kaharis and her whole political campaign within the campaign. So Ash, the little gnome that is with you guys, is like, man, this wouldn't have happened if we would just get to learn like how to defend ourselves, how to do proper spells, like deeper magic than what we're doing today. Kind of like Defense Against the Dark Arts type of deal. And he's like, I don't understand what's happening. Like if we built the wall, like Kaharis was saying, like this would have helped. And so I tied in the wall, which was great. The group was like, what the hell? Like, throwing in the wall. But at some point, like I found this interesting. I didn't suspect this was going to happen. So Ash is like, all right, screw this. I'm going to make a group and we're going to learn how to defend ourselves. And he's like, I don't know. What do I call it? Like the Auric? And they're like, no, don't call it the Auric. And he's like, I don't know, maybe the DA, like Dumbledore's army, but DA. So I'm like, so he's like, I don't know. I'm going to go brainstorm. I'm going to figure this out. Let me know when Max is okay. And so a little bit of time goes by. And of course, the group hears a crash. They knock down a door. They see the infirm or the medical person, the doctor, knocked on the floor, gashed head, blood everywhere, face to face of his mage hunter, and then blasting through the window, they see glass, and like midair, they see, an Auric member carrying Max over the shoulder and disappearing. Right. So of course, mage hunter in the way, they can't exactly get to the window fast enough type of deal. By the time they do, invisible, there's footprints like where they landed, and then they don't know where the character went. And your character, who can technically like see invisibility, gets to the window, but sees them like easily 300-400 feet off in the distance, because several turns have gone by since you get there, and they've dashed and done other things to make their way out there. And then I brought up to you personally, but like during the time where the arm was ripped off and on the ground, you all look in the distance and you see a member of the Auric with one arm. And then everyone's like, wait, didn't we see him with two arms before? And it's like, yes, but you guys are doing things in the current time that affects the future. And so they're like, well, wouldn't all of this have happened? It's like, no, like there's multiple timelines and things that occur. And the one thing that you all haven't kind of pinpointed is Seeker died at one point within the campaign, right? Did that happen to past? Did it not? Like there's things that could have occurred in your present time that would affect the future and the different timelines around it. So like, it's great because I feel like as a DM, I'm at a point where things can happen and I can transition story to work in different ways. And because we're doing time travel and different lines of time travel, there's never one clear set path as to what can and can't happen in the future. So I can kind of evolve the story accordingly to where it kind of suits the purpose of what needs to happen. Right. So in this case, this character, they're kind of written off in an extent, but their arm is gone. So now I can affect the future and say the arm is gone of this character, or like this character loses a finger. Now that character loses a finger. This character can no longer perform magic. So this character loses their magic, that type of stuff. So it's kind of cool. But after you guys defeat the monster and everything there, and obviously all of us you weren't present for, there's an argument between Seeker and Groff, who manages the university store. It turns out Groff is dating the medical or the doctor on campus, and had flowers and was like pushing his way through to see what happened. And Draco Malfoy, or Mako Jalfoy, or Virion Black, whatever you guys want to call him nowadays, comes out. He's like, I saw Seeker do it. Seeker pushed her into the table, all for his own benefit. And he's peddling drugs on campus because technically he is, right? So everybody's like, yeah, I saw Seeker do it too. And they're trying to start up this whole riot. And Groff is like, did Seeker do this to you? And she's like, I don't know. I was knocked out. I didn't see anything happen. Like, I don't know. He could have. He might not have. And so Seeker and all of them are getting this argument. Groff, he's like, well, we'll just have to see how this transpires in court. And so now I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to have Seeker go to student court or something to try and defend himself for very much a situation where like everyone saw what actually happened where Seeker was. So it's very obvious he didn't do it. But how do we make that into a fun little story? And then, of course, you all leave and you're doing your thing. But Fez, in conversation with the group, and you didn't catch this, obviously, says, you know what? I'm pissed off because everybody is saying that this isn't happening, that there's no Auric, that there's no mage hunters, like they're brushing it off like it's nothing. Something's going on. I'm right there with Ash now. And I think that something needs to happen at this university. I'm going to go and talk to him. So now Fez is actually like deferring to the dark side. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see this happening at all while writing things up. So now I got to kind of work around that, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, like we closed out the session with everybody kind of doing their own things, studying and hanging out their dorms. But I have Seeker wake up in the middle of the night. And it was kind of funny how Joel handled it. So he wakes up to like basically a megaphone outside saying, you know, expel Seeker, get Seeker off of campus. He's a danger to us all. Our students don't need drugs and all stuff. And Seeker opens the window and he looks down and Mako Jalfoy points up and he's looking at him and he smiles and goes, there he is, the drug peddler. He's probably making his drugs right now. And he's like, actually, I'm sleeping right now. Good day. And he closes the window. I just laughed so hard when he did that. And then we kind of closed it out at that point. So that's really where the session ended. And I got such a kick out of that, like how all of that transpired at the end. It was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, it sucks that you had to miss that little bit. And I'm going to have to catch Thomas up as well. But that was like the 8-minute or 5-minute like overview of what happened in D&D this week. And I'm excited to see where things go. I think the story is kind of transitioning into more of a funnier type of tone, despite all the seriousness that's underlaid on it. And I'm really excited to see what I can do with like the Auric and the time travel. And like my wife was asking me the other day, she's like, oh, well, you know, why don't for the next campaign, why don't you do a homebrew? I'm like, because I'm basically doing a homebrew right now. Like everything I'm doing with you guys is straight homebrew outside of like some minor pieces. Like, yes, the Wiltroot Hall was part of the story, but every single thing that happened outside of that last week was homebrewed.
Yeah, the book is a jumping off point.
Yeah, exactly. Very much a jumping off point. There's so like Joel actually read through it like a little bit when he first got the book and then closed it. And he agreed. He was like, yeah, he's like, you got nothing to work with. You have like 4 scenes that happen and they expect you to run an entire campaign based off of like 4 scenes in like each chapter. And they anticipate like, okay, there's 4 scenes, which means 1 week or 1 session per scene, which theoretically, yes, I could do that. But then it would make for the most boring campaign you guys have ever played. Because there wouldn't be anything in between. There'd be no classes. There'd be no interactions with students. It'd just be like, oh, the group goes to this. Okay, now this happens. Now this happens. And then that's it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anything else D&D related for you to bring up or no?
No, I mean, I'm excited to keep everything going and move on into some higher levels and stuff. But, I mean, this week we got a lot else we could talk about besides D&D. Voice actors calling out SAG on a bad deal. Game Shark stirring up some Switch 2 feeding frenzy for the media this week. And I don't know if you heard about this, John. Mario's getting a new job helping the elderly.
Oh, is he? All right, well, let's start with the first one. Gaming voice actors are blindsided by a garbage union AI deal. And this is Tom Gherkin at BBC. So basically, we talked about this a while back. We're like utilizing AI deepfakes in a sense, or just AI in general is able to mimic the voice of existing individuals, right? Like I've seen multiple things in our instances where you're listening to audio and it sounds exactly like the real person, but it's nothing. Like it's not even close, right? And so what they've essentially done is SAG has agreed to, utilizing AI and then compensating voice actors based on the AI used. So, for example, if Ryan's a voice actor and a game developer says, hey, we want Ryan's voice, we're going to utilize AI to incorporate Ryan's voice into this video game. Okay, cool. That's fine now, according to SAG, but they're going to compensate the voice actor a fair amount of dollars based off of the use of their likeness and
I mean,
voice.
they still need consent from the actors to be able to do it, but like the fear is in the future that if you don't consent as an actor,
They'll just go to the next person.
then they'll go to somebody else. And if you want to stand up for your rights, they'll basically just say, you know what, we'll just find somebody who will play ball. And then once everybody is forced to play ball, then they can change the rules and do whatever they want, because it's too late. They've already got all the agreements and code and stuff. And I mean, at some point in the future, you know, there's going to be a real reckoning in all manner of things AI, and exactly what is really owned and fair use and stuff like that anymore. All that's going to have to be renegotiated in some way. But for these actors, for right now, you know, they deserve the ability to make a fair living off of their talents, and to not have that just exploited by, you know, all the money people up the line and all the tech people on the other side who are also trying to make a buck, you know?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this like after reading it through, and like I can see where this would be a beneficial deal for some of these voice actors, where it's like, hey, I don't have to audition for anything. I don't have to go out. I can audition for other things. There's going to be potential for money coming in that I don't have to actually do any sort of work because my voice is being used. But financial set aside, I think a lot of these, I mean, they enjoy doing this too, though, right? So I think this is beyond just money for these voice actors. And also the fact that like this deal was agreed to without them agreeing to it, right? So SAG on their own said, well, we're representing these voice actors, so we're just going to go ahead and do this for them, right? But there was a lot of people are saying, hey, it should have been put to a vote. A lot of well-known voice actors, like, it should have been voted upon. Nobody that I've talked to has agreed about this. Like, this isn't something that we all think is beneficial for the industry.
What's the point of being a union if somebody else makes all the decisions for you?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's typically what unions are supposed to do, right? They're supposed to be in there for negotiating and all of that. So I do get it. Like, that's the downside of being in a union. There are certain protections that you're given, and there's certain like assurances that you're provided from the union that they're going to have your best interest at heart. So in this case, they had their best interest at heart, but a lot of folks didn't agree with that. So, and that makes sense. And I think some of it's more so like they just enjoy voice acting. They like the opportunity to go forward for the job and try to get it. A lot of those lesser known voice actors as well, who maybe aren't in a lot of big roles. Are you going to go for a Steve Bloom or an Eric Stewart or somebody like that and just say, hey, we want to use your voice. Can we go ahead and do that? And they say, yeah, sure. I mean, and Bloom being one of them was like, no, absolutely not. I don't like this. But there may be situations where like, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to make X amount of dollars from it. Okay, cool. That lesser known voice actor who could have gone in and tried out for that role now doesn't even have the opportunity to do that because there's no auditions. Right. Yeah. So I think it hurts a lot of the like lesser known voice actors more so than it does the well-known voice actors. So there's that piece. And then just the love of doing it, right? Like, do you really want to sit on your ass all day and not do what you were trained to do and what you've been doing for years? Right. And then like when it comes down to like meeting fans, if they're like, oh, you did the voice for whatever character in this video game. Yeah, I did. But they really didn't, right? Because it was AI that was doing it. So now there's not even that experience and that like emotional connection to the characters because their voice is just being used. So I could see multiple ways where this is like beyond money.
Yeah.
In a sense for a lot of people.
And one of the things, I mean, going along what you were saying before, this is really going to be a long-term problem that's going to have to get solved out at some point, because once you have these AI recordings of all these voice actors, in perpetuity, like if you can use the greatest voice actors, like you were saying, with new voice talent coming up, in 30 years, are people going to aspire to be new voice actors because everything you've ever heard was just the same old recordings rehashed out again and again?
Well, and the problem is there's thousands upon thousands of like audio recordings out there that can be taken. So I think when you really kind of consider, well, I mean, maybe not thousands upon thousands, but there's a lot of voices out there. And even beyond just like voice actors and like video games, anime, you're talking like even just movies or commercials or different voices that have been in anything where there's an audio recording of some form of digital media. If that can be pulled and you just need the name and consent, it's like a
Yeah,
wide pool of like that. And that's
like
it. Right. So, does that, like you said, does that make people in 30 years aspire to do that role when it's not even needed anymore at
yeah,
that
like
point?
The Rock's not going to record lines for your game because you're not going to be able to pay him enough to make it worth his time. But if he can sign off the AI for his voice to just do it, and then he signs off on it like he did it, well, now we can get The Rock in our game. Why would we pay a voice actor? Like, we'll have the name recognition of The Rock.
Yeah. And like he's only going to want, like, he'll want however much money, but there's a fair aspect of like, there's no travel, there's no commitment, there's none of that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a little more, but we'd be paying him about the same as what we would pay somebody to come in live. Right. And now we have Dwayne's voice on this game. So, I see it. Yeah, it's definitely a long-term issue. I would love to get a voice actor on here to really talk with us about that
Yeah,
and their viewpoint. So that might, I mean, hey, Game on Expo is coming in March, and I know a couple folks voice acting wise it'll be there. So maybe we talk to them.
sounds good.
Yeah. So next thing here is Game Shark has accidentally leaked the Switch 2's release date, and leaked is in quotations here, and it's Zach Sweez and Ekotaku for this. So basically, Game Shark is kind of re-coming out as like Game Shark AI. So it's this
AI
new,
Shark.
huh? Or AI
AI
Shark,
Shark.
yeah, AI Shark. So Game Shark, now Shark, AI Shark, and in part of that like launch is saying, hey, we're going to be coming out this new program, and here's how we're going to be involved in gaming. They said it'll coincide with the Switch's release in like September of 2024. Then they backtracked to say it was like fall of 2024. Then they backtracked again to say, oh, well, we're not sure. Like it'll be coming out in fall, and we're like thinking the Switch will be out during that time period. So like they backtrack like multiple times. My feel is like Nintendo maybe didn't see the September one, or maybe they did, bitched them out, said, hey, this is false, you can take this down. It's not September 2024. Wasn't clear enough. Game Shark goes ahead and says fall of 2024, and Nintendo's like, no, you can't do that either because we haven't made an official announcement. Oh, well, it could be fall of 2024. I think it could be pretty much confirmed. We're going to see Switch 2 in 2024.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, that, you know, these types of things don't just like randomly happen by sheer coincidence that like Game Shark is saying, oh, it's going to be released in 2024. Like it's going to coincide with this. They have insider info. They've
Well,
signed NDAs. They've done these things. Like somebody knew what was happening and what's going to be coming up. And I mean, honestly, it could have been a screw up on their part on purpose to get more limelight on
yeah.
their product and then tie it in with the Switch name. Now, maybe they did that without knowing and are backtracking to get more and more kind of traction towards their AI thing. Or maybe they really did screw up and Nintendo reached out to them. There's been no comment from Nintendo and no further comments from Game Shark.
Well, we're going to start seeing a lot of situations like this where, I mean, if you're a smaller, like, this isn't a small thing, but I mean, it's definitely not a big giant thing. You know, Game Shark's been away for a long time. I don't really know who the owner of, I guess it's Alltech Lansing.
Yeah. I
So,
think
I
they've been
mean,
known for a while, actually.
yeah, so they just haven't done anything with it in a while or whatever, and now they're trying to bring it back. But I mean, even if you were like a developer for a game, if you said, you know, hey, we're in development for, you know, Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and Switch 2, that's not a lie. Like, you're definitely developing for Switch 2. It's not out yet, but like, you could grab a lot more headlines announcing a game for the Switch 2 that isn't even having a release date and just get like blown up headlines for that. Or seeing, you know, new game announcements coming out that maybe don't list Nintendo as a platform because they don't have the license to put like the Switch 2 logo, you know, on the announcement card, and it's not going to work on Switch 1. So you'll see a game, it's like, well, that would have been great on Switch. I guess it's not coming to Nintendo. And it's like, well, they just can't announce it's coming to Nintendo yet.
Or you have it saying Nintendo, but there's no Switch noted. It just says Nintendo.
Yeah, so we're going to be in that whole speculation timeline now moving forward where people are really going to be, you know, combing through every little detail on all these announcements and trying to get as close to this figure. But I mean, hopefully we get an announcement of, you know, a direct or something, maybe sometime in March, to give us like a first look, and then maybe we get a better look this summer, and then it comes out this fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on. For me, it really depends on if it's backwards compatible or not. If it's like a day one or like first week type of pickup for me. Like if it's backwards compatible, I'm all on it. I'll sell my old Switch, pick up the new one.
When did you get your Switch?
When it like first came out.
So do you have the easy hack one?
I think so, actually, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess that is true. I could just stay with the old one too and just pick up a new one. It's not like I can't get it. So,
I mean, I'm hanging on to mine for purely that reason. Like I said, Zach has to like crack his open and put a chip in it.
well, maybe I'll have him do that for me too. We'll see.
You don't need it.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's just a soft
Mhm.
mod. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. We don't do those types of things on the side.
No,
Not at all.
not at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually don't have any hacked consoles because I have so many games already. It's like,
What are you doing?
yeah, like if I really want to play something, I'll just pull it off the shelf. And if I don't have it, I'll buy it. So that's kind of how I've always been.
Little Samson?
Uh, we'll say it's a cart from AliExpress that costs $40. That's about what it would come out to. Or it's like a 500-to-1 cart that I may have picked up for like $10 somewhere else that has it. So, you know, this isn't the only thing that Nintendo's had to deal with this week. In fact, this past week, AARP had a horrible AI-powered Mario hologram. And this is also Zach Sweez and Kotaku. So at CES 2024, so Consumer Electronics Show, AARP was there doing they sponsored like a hologram type thing. So it wasn't necessarily AARP was doing this. It was AARP was at the event and they sponsored something, and it was some sort of like hologram program, and Mario was the hologram program with AARP there. So I guess we could say
It's part of Age Tech.
Yeah, so Mario is helping the elderly nowadays.
Yeah, so this hologram is like a prototype technology for like just a general interface for you to be able to, like, people were asking it and got a recording of, you know, where to buy video games, and it's like, you should go to Target. And it's just like, it sounds so ridiculous. Like, it's not really doing like the full Mario thing. Like, it didn't have Charles Martinet or I haven't remembered the new person's voice yet, but whoever's going to be Mario moving forward wasn't actually doing this. So it's just very odd. And I mean, I was talking to John earlier, like the first thing I saw of this, I was like, this is going to go so bad. Like, somebody in the future is going to have like an avatar thing, and they're going to be in like an emergency situation, and they're going to have to get like Mario to call 911 for them. Or, you know, they're going to have like, you know, some like their favorite athlete is going to be like reading off their voicemail to them or something, as like just standing there in front of them. It's going to be so weird in the future when you're doing like these bizarre things with just like these not real people, or, you know, faux like realistic versions of characters. It's going to be a bizarre world to just have that be normalized, as opposed to interfacing with like a piece of technology. Like, I'm used to, you know, looking at a clock, not asking a fake person what time it is.
Yeah. I mean, you're really going to run into situations like, Mario, I've fallen. Wahoo! Please call 911. Okie dokie.
This is Mario, my friend. She's a fallen. She cannot get up. All right, Mario, tell her to stay right there.
Stay right there. Oh, man. I'm gonna call my brother Luigi.
It's gonna be a bizarre future, and I mean, it's cool. Like, I guess this is the sci-fi we always wanted, right? Like, being kids, it was like, oh, sick, you know, we're gonna have like holograms and all this stuff. And now that it's getting closer and closer to coming out, it's like, okay, maybe this is what we wanted, but maybe we should have asked why first.
Well, and it's kind of in that weird time where it's like not as advanced as it can be yet. So you're in like this really creepy phase of like really bad holograms and really bad AI and things that are not like 100% set out. Like, for example, I've been using like Meta's AI program to make stupid images. And I was like, Meta AI, make me a picture of Mario or Super Mario. And it gave me like this baby looking Mario with a pencil thin mustache just kind of hanging out with a bunch of piranha plants that had warped faces.
Wish.com Mario.
It was, yeah, it was basically if you ordered Mario from Wish. It was scary, to be honest. Like, it looks like an old Van Gogh painting with a baby Mario. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, this
Um,
AARP Mario doesn't look very good either. Like his shoulders are weird.
yeah, he's all jacked up. It's like a Meta AI program made the hologram Mario. Um, so yeah, or maybe that's what you get when you make it's like, all right, wish.com, I need you to make me a hologram of Mario for the elderly. And that's what you get. So he's got the big shoulders. Um, so we'll see what happens in this long term. But yeah, it was shut down. ARP pretty much is like, yeah, we didn't know this was a thing and we weren't aware of it, which they probably were, to be honest. And same deal if Nintendo are like, no, we didn't approve this, so needs to go away. So yeah, lots of fun. All right,
Nintendo always raining on people's parades.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's look at our inflation deflation for the week, which is SpyHunter on the PlayStation 2. This was developed by Paradigm Entertainment. It was published by Midway, designed by Sean Wright, released in November of 2001 in the US. It's got other release dates worldwide. It is vehicular combat, and then the reception specifically on PS2 is around an 8 out of 10. So, Ryan, set us up with a synopsis from the wiki.
The plot deals with Alex Sect, an F-15 pilot who's trained by the FBI as he tries to take down Nostra, an Israeli-based international company that produces food products, biochemicals, genetics, e-commerce, and children's software. Damon Curry, a man who believes himself to be the figurehead mentioned in several religions, is the founder and leader. To deal with him, IES created a team called SpyHunter. So the game opens with this like pretty cool cinematic. The bad guy sitting in a room with all these like Agent 47 looking bald guys in suits. They're all talking about his plan for the Four Horsemen and summoning their satellite power to take all the power from the world and plunge it into darkness so that he can rule. And he's got terrible hair. I think this is all a problem with his self-confidence. I think he needs to find keeps and pursue his happiness.
Well, it all starts with the children's software. You got to have the educational software in which they promote eating certain fruits and vegetables, which are contain biochemicals and genetic mutations, right? And then after that, you have to figure out the e-commerce aspect of how to sell it. So I think it's a genius plan, actually, when you think about it. Like, start with the kids. They're going to push for it with their parents. They're going to whine and cry if they don't have it. And then those kids grow up to be whatever they grow up to be. Yeah.
Evil spies.
Evil spies. Yes. All right. So an interesting fact on this game, word is that the game was actually in development and emerged in late 1997. At the time, it was titled SpyHunter Returns, and it was planned for release in 98 or 99. And N64 was actually a target platform, but Midway had no plans to feature different versions of the original Peter Gunn theme throughout the game. And so ultimately ended up getting scrapped and pushed out towards, 2001 for that release period. So interesting stuff. So gameplay wise, as I said, vehicular combat. What was the head shaking for?
Huh?
You shook your head for something.
Oh, it was just super interesting fact.
You're ridiculous. I thought it was pretty interesting in the fact that like it was going to be released for N64 and they held off till the PS2.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of stuff that like when the PS1 came out, everybody was probably just blown away by how much better you could do with CD technology. And I mean, maybe, that is what made them decide to switch platforms, but restarting, I don't know, maybe they just took so long in development that second time that it eventually pushed PS2. But I mean, this would have been a way different game if it was on N64 for sure. I mean, first of all, like, this is a fun ass PS2 game. Like, this is one of those games that like back in the day you could have gone to like Blockbuster, randomly just checked out and had a great weekend with. I feel like the PS2 was full of these kind of like easy to get into action titles that explored a lot of different genres and things like vehicular combat, not a huge genre. I mean, we had a ton of Twisted Metal games and stuff by now. I think we had at least like 3 or 4 of them. But this is like the first.
Well, and Vigilante 8 as well.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't that
That was on 64.
That was on 64? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Cell Damage for Xbox, or was that later? Probably, I don't know. Not a whole big family of vehicular combat, but this is a cool way to do it because it's like being that James Bond car with all of the cool special features and gadgets, and it turns into a motorcycle and it turns into a boat, and it's just a fun adventure going from like, you know, all of these big sights that you would see in like a spy international thriller, like racing through the streets of Italy and the canals of Venice and stuff. That's all really what you're getting with this fantasy. And I really dig it. I think it's something that I would like to see way more of. I've heard a lot of people that like this game say, hey, I would really like to see a new SpyHunter in the last couple of years. So I think after playing it now, I'm definitely on board with that. And I'm glad it's a game I own that I can play all the way through.
Yeah. You know, I really like the aspect of, I mean, you're really just kind of in the car the whole time, right? There's no getting out and doing all these other spy things. Like, it's very clear. You have certain objectives. That's what you're going to hit. There is a story that's at least based around that. It's got some great gameplay. The controls are very fluid in what we played. I mean, it's not a hard to play game at all. And it's just, in general, it's like good fun, right? It's something you can kind of pick up, quickly play a couple levels, finish some objectives, and then be done for today, right? Or play even longer than that. So I'm right on board. If you hear, I thought it was a great game. I think the 8 out of 10 that it's been given on PS2 is actually very warranted. And I'm happy that we played this one because I played it years ago, like 20 plus years ago when it first came out, played the demo, rented the game. And as a kid, I just didn't like it as much back then. Playing it now, I'm like, man, I really wish I actually would have stuck with this game and played it through. And now I have that opportunity, right? So that's why I'd mentioned earlier that that's something I kind of want to look towards doing this year, is diving into games like this that are very much like short games. You can kind of, each mission's like 4 or 5 minutes, right? Like if you do it right, you can blaze through this game pretty quickly. And so that's kind of a goal to play through something like this. I did it with Guitar Man, I think it was last year. Would love to do a SpyHunter this year.
Nice.
So, so kind of looking at brass tacks here, complete in box is running you $7.91. There is a Saliva alternate version that I have that has the Saliva Band album on there, and that one's actually $25 right now. The game itself for a regular copy peaked at $9.98 in November of 2022. Price wise, trending kind of steady. A loose copy right now running you $5.71. That peaked at $6.99 in June of last year, and that's trending down for a loose copy. I think it's fair to say in an overall, like, inflation, deflation, this is very much deflated. I think if you see this game for $10, it's an easy pickup. It's cheap. I mean, given today's rates of inflation, $10 for a game like this, and as highly rated as it is, and something you can just kind of jump in quickly, play. Graphically, it's not bad. It still holds up very nicely. I think it's a good game to pick up for $10.
Yeah, this is a heck of a game for $10. And the PS2 has so many great games that you could get, and this is definitely one that I would say, if you don't have it, it's definitely one that you should get because it's going to fit real great in your collection. It's at a great price right now. Who knows in the future? Like, I feel like this will probably eventually go up higher than where it's at now, just because over time that's the trend that we've seen. So why not get it while you can at a deal?
Yep, I agree. So for our next get together, I don't know if we confirmed if we're going to do D&D on Saturday for a recording yet, but I'm thinking maybe we visit SpyHunter on I think it's the NES.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that one.
Okay, cool.
So that'd be pretty cool. Or just another SpyHunter game in general, and just kind of do a quick comparison off the old one while it's still kind of fresh in our minds.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun. All right. Well, this has been episode 269 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.